Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, I'm going to be giving you a rundown on how to play the subtlety rogue in World of Warcraft PvP, as it is infamously known as the most complicated and difficult specialization throughout the history of the game. I went from a one-button enjoyer to a 2400 rated champion over the span of my time playing the specialization, and I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I utilized to simplify it for myself. Now, the first thing you're going to want to realize is that you have a lot of cooldowns. You have Shadow Dance, you have Symbols of Death, and you have Subtlety. These three cooldowns I sync up at the same time every time just to make things easy. So at the start of the game, I tried to get a sap. I got pulled out of stealth. We can always compensate. We can just dance cheap shot, set up crowd control with cheap shots, get bleeds up onto the targets, and then really start hammering through, which is basically just spamming Shadow Strike, then Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, then Eviscerate. That's my main rotation during Shadow Dance that I utilize to get to 2400. You might notice that I'm forgetting something. It's Secret Technique. I literally forgot that it was on my bar. Subtlety Rogue has a lot of buttons. I got all the way up there. I've gotten even higher, not using Secret Technique by accident. I would suggest using it during your dance window. It's going to buff the damage of your other spells, but you can see on that first opener, Dance, Symbols, and T was the first one, and then you have Shadow Blades as well. So I use Blind here to get Trinket. We can build up combo points, and we can go for kind of like a swap on Paladin if we wanted to with a kidney shot, or we can gouge the Paladin and then go into another target with a kidney shot. So I'm moving over, we kidney shot the Paladin, we get a gouge in the Warrior, and we can just dance, cheap shot the Zerker Rage, but he gets a Stormbolt squeezed in between, which is really unlucky for us. We want to make sure that we're just cheap shot, Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, maintaining Rupture on the target. My dance pretty much got owned though by that Stormbolt. We'll swap back onto the Hunter. Priority target here should likely be Hunter, but you can swap Warrior. I'm basically just tracking the diminishing returns on Gladius. You can see kidney shot here for the Paladin, Hammer of Justice just hit the Hunter, and cheap shot hit the Warrior. So in this window, I'm basically just building combo points and spending them with Eviscerate and keeping Rupture on the targets I want to hit in the near future to reset the cooldown of my Shadow Dance, because you get cooldown reduction from spending your combo points. So you just want to be kind of using Feint, avoiding damage, and waiting for your DRs. Now we have stun DRs, so we can use Dance, we can pop Symbols. I go for a Smoke Bomb here to get his Trinket. I could have also Smoke Bombed the Warrior, likely was a better target, considering that the Warrior doesn't have a Trinket at the moment. Although Fury Warriors can use their defensive cooldown in stuns, you need to be aware of those classes when you're trying to set up for a Smoke Bomb. I kind of thought that he might just not react fast enough. We'd get like a big one-shot, but now we're in between the window. We're waiting for stun DRs. I set up a gouge because the Hunter just got really low. That forces Bubble, Lay on Hands, and Turtle in one go. So I'm just going to send a Dance cheap shot here onto the Warrior and just use Symbols. I use a Thistle T. We sync those up together, and we just send 3 cheap shots. So it's kind of like cheap shot, Eviscerate. If you have time, Shadow Strike, Eviscerate. If you get procs, you use Eviscerate. There's a lot of like little calculations you got to make based on the situation. As soon as my stun DRs are over for the Hunter, I'm swapping to the Hunter. I'm putting a kidney shot on him. I see Recklessness up for the Warrior, so honestly, disarming the Warrior here wouldn't be a bad idea. This is like the best time. Disarms on Warriors, disarms on Marksmanship Hunters are going to be really vital as far as reducing damage and staying alive. We get Rooted and Glared here, so we're just going to use Crimson Vial and Feint to reduce damage, as those aren't affected by Searing Glare. We set up a gouge onto the Paladin again, but we don't really have a stun DR for the Hunter, so we're likely going to have to dance on the Warrior and cheap shot the Warrior here, which isn't too bad because he just sacked, and we're going to use Dance, Symbols, we Shadow Strike, Eviscerate, and you can see I'm just spamming cheap shots in between. We can swap to the Hunter. He's on DR, so we're probably not going to go for a stun here, just reload bleeds, wait for the DRs. We've got a kidney shot, though, that we could put on the Paladin. We already have a lot of pressure on 2 targets, even though this is like an in-between go. I also have a Rep Paladin on my team. That forces the Trinket by itself. So even though we don't have a stun DR for the target, I'm basically just stunning anything as soon as it's off DR. Like you can see right now, Hunter is off DR. I'm just going to Vanish cheap shot him. I'm just trying to maximize the amount of stun time that I could put my opponents in, and then just doing that basic combo of either Backstab or Shadow Strike, depending on if you're dancing or not, obviously, and Eviscerate while maintaining Rupture on the target. Warriors off stun DR, I just send it. The Dance cheap shot Symbols, sending Eviscerates in Shadow Strikes, and we can just kind of overwhelm them. I'm not waiting for like this perfect like 3-2-1 moment where I can cover all 3 targets and stop them simultaneously, because often you're just going to lose damage in between. It felt like, and you could just one shot. You can just force major cooldowns just by maximizing your DRs, just by stunning something as soon as it's off DR, as opposed to waiting like, oh, the healer's off stun DR in 6 seconds, even though this guy's off DR now. I just found it was better to just send it. It also prevented people from stun DRing my stuns before I could in a lot of cases, which is a big problem where, the Warriors storm bolting somebody. You're like, oh my God, I was just about to send and we were going to win there. By me just grabbing the stun DR as soon as I could, it limited players' ability to do that to me, which can be a really frustrating part and experience on Subtlety Rogue. But Goal again here is to get a sap on the Holy Paladin, likely a cheap shot on the Ret, and also the Warrior is nice to stop Intervene, to stop Sanctuary. So we sneak in. We get pulled out of stealth. We're not getting a sap. So you can already see 2 rounds in a row. Pretty bad opener. We're going to kidney shot, dance cheap shot. We get storm bolted, and he sanks before I get the cheap shot. So it's really unfortunate. And then he blade storms my cheap shot. This is like worst case scenario as far as openers are concerned. And now they're all on stun DR. So we go back to the filler rotation, which is just build up combo points with backstab. Keep Rupture up on the target. If there's no Rupture, just press Eviscerate. We'll use Disarm here on the Warrior's cooldowns. If we get Searing Glared or something like that, or we can't attack, we'll use Feint and use Crimson Vial during this window to try and mitigate some damage. You can see the Warrior's really focused on me. Can also use Shiv. It's really powerful. So like shivving the Warrior here, I don't think I do it, but you can use Shiv to kite Warriors, get a cheap shot. I tried to move over. I used Vanish to cheap shot there instead of my dance. So I want a kidney shot Paladin, and then I want a step cheap shot onto the Ret Paladin ideally here, I think is what I'm trying to do. I don't know why it's taking me so long to do it right here though. Okay, never mind. We're just dance cheap shotting and going on the Holy Paladin instead. Not the most ideal setup. I think a kidney shot there on the Holy Paladin and a swap to the Ret or the Warrior would have been a lot better. Obviously the Ret in this case because he's not off stun DR, but we still have a stun DR here, and guess who's off stun DR? The Warrior and the Ret here in a moment, so we can just kind of go for that as soon as we want with the kidney shot. I send another dance actually instead, dance symbols, T at the same time. To try and maximize the damage. You get disarmed on it, so this is where I say use Crimson Vial and Feint. It's basically when you're CC'd by not a stun, or you're trying to anticipate a stun. Those are the best times to use them. I don't know why I'm attacking the Holy Paladin so much. We go for a full blind on him behind the pillar. Warrior is still low. Hammer out the Eviscerates. Still just trying to build combo points and get cooldown resets. The glares are super annoying. But we just have to kind of wait for them to be over if you don't get dispelled on it. We can also use Shuriken Toss from range to generate combo points, because it's really important that you're spending your energy even if enemies are kiting you, so that you can get cooldown reduction. And now I've got my dance. So we've got stun DR, so I'm just going to dance cheap shot, send damage here, T at the same time as the symbols, cheap shot the Holy Paladin, bounce back, that gets enraged regen. We're going to get a lot of pressure. We could swap onto the Ret Paladin. Yeah, just everybody gets a stun as soon as possible. I don't want anybody DRing my stuns, and I just want to keep pressure going onto as many targets as possible. It's also really tough for healers because they might allocate all of their big healing to the first target you hit, and then when you swap to the next one, they're struggling, and then we swap to the third one, they're really running low on recovery, and then you get this situation where they're kind of just all 50% health, as opposed to just tunneling one target and only really focusing one target is what I noticed to be a lot more fun also, because I knew that I was just annoying everyone by stunning them, but it was also good for containing their damage. It was good for building pressure and building momentum for later into the game. Here we're kind of getting owned. We don't have a lot of cooldowns. Here's where using like a defensive shadow step can be good. I'm pressing Feint, and I wanted to shadow step, and I stepped to the priest. I thought the priest was away from me, but I realized he's on top of me, so I stepped to the hunter to try and get away. So when you're running out of like real big defenses like evasion, I think defensive shadow steps can be really good. I just cheap shot smoke bomb Warrior. He's got no trinket, and we were getting pressured, so I just don't want to die right now really. It's honestly like a defense offensive bomb at the same time, and sometimes defensive bombs can be really clutch. Defensive blinds can also be really clutch. Not always just going to be using that onto the healer, but we get a full kidney shot. Ret's off the R. We just send damage into him. Here I use symbols, and I use T outside of my dance window because it got desynced a little bit, and they're really low. It's deep damp. I just wanted as much damage as I could get. We'll pop evasion with the Warrior and the Ret both on top of us. We get stunned on it, which means you can get attacked through evasion, but it looks like we'll be fine. I'll go back to spending combo points. I got symbols and dance ready to go. They're both off stun DR, at least the Warrior and the Holy Paladin are, so we're just going to send it. Dance, symbols, cheap shot, Shadow Strike, Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, Eviscerate. If we get procs, we'll Eviscerate again. If we don't, he just dies through bubble healing. Don't overcomplicate it. That's what I would say with Subtlety Rogue, is do not overcomplicate it. Just look at the DRs. It's like, okay, that guy's off DR. He's my priority target. I'm sending my dance on him. Cheap shots, go. And it's like, okay, he didn't die. All right, I'm switching to this next target that's nearby. He's off DR. I'm stunning it. We're going. And just keep sending. That's what I've noticed is the best way to play, is just keep sending, keep momentum, keep the gas pedal down, maximize DRs, maximize your cooldown reduction. And you just outpace a lot of other classes as far as momentum and as far as pressure, if you're able to maintain that type of momentum. Now, obviously, you're going to want to get better openers than I'm getting in this lobby. I think this was the lobby that actually got me to 2400 rating. And even with it going as abysmally as it is in the opener, Subtlety Rogue can still compensate for that and come back in a lot of cases. So we got the Warrior on our team this time. Probably the weakest comp of the lobby, you know, against Ret Hunter, which we'll see as soon as I'm done vendoring all my transmog farming. But Ret Hunter is really hard as like a melee cleave like this. I got a sap on the Ret, but I got flared out, so we're going to get scattered. Really sad. I was sapping the Ret to walk in to sap the priest. We don't have a sap DR anyways, so you can kind of sap a DPS on your way in. I just send it. I don't even care. You see the healer's not in CC. I just dance symbols, and I didn't Thistletea till a little bit late here. You do want to use those three at the same time because it's going to give you mastery. It's going to give you huge damage amplification. And I kind of just send. Now I see the Ret Paladin is off DR. So guess what? You get a kidney shot. That got the trinket from the ret. It's just opening opportunities. In solo shuffle, people play a lot more recklessly. We used feint there in a defensive shadow step because I kind of cloak evasion the first wings in Bestial Wrath just to stay in and stay aggressive. And now the warrior DR'd my stuns with Stormbolt. So only DR we really have right now is on the priest, and he just shockwaved everything. This is where being a subtlety rogue is just like, okay, dude, like what am I gonna do, right? Like, do you wait for the DRs? And then I blinded here and it was in DR. Everything is gone because he feared at the same time. Literally everything could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. So I just send damage. If they're on stun DR, don't sit on your dance. Just instead of cheap shotting, spam Shadow Strike and Eviscerate. I just send damage. I got paint suppression. That is certainly better than sitting on both of your dance charges and getting nothing just because somebody's putting all of your stuns on DR. And now they're off DR. So I could technically dance again. Cheap shot before the warrior could put people on DR. Smoke bomb them on the edge. That gets turtle. So I just send it right away. This is why I just send the stuns as soon as I can off DR, because if you don't, it's a good chance that the other guy's going to do it, and then you're not going to be able to connect your cooldowns as effectively. So I just kidney shot the red as soon as I can. Step over to the hunter, away from the paladin. Crimson Vial there to heal up while our healer was CC'd. Glare here is a bit annoying. I'm not going to be able to attack for a little bit. Disarm here is not super effective against the hunter or the ret. I probably should disarm the ret though over the hunter, as you're going to stop the final verdicts, whereas the BM hunter is just going to kill command spam anyways. We got Blessing and Protection, so we got Turtle, we got Bop. We just immediately get a dance cheap shot on the priest. I don't care. He's off DR. I'm just sending it. That got Sanctuary and it's scaring the priest and he's getting pressured. Ret Paladin's coming off stun DR, so we're going to stun the Ret Paladin. That is the main line of thinking, is that I'm just sending that basic combo, dance symbols and T, and just cheap shotting anything that I can that's off DR, off kidney shotting when I don't have a dance, or vanish cheap shotting when I don't have a dance, and trying to go. But obviously the warrior rogue comp, not best comp, and this is like a direct hard counter with basically everything going wrong in the opener. But I'm able to maintain top overall damage. I'm able to maintain decent pressure throughout the game. I think with a better matchup and with a little bit better synergy, I think as a warrior, you should probably spec out of Shockwave, or I think there might be a talent that makes Shockwave knock enemies in the air or something like that. I'm not sure if it's a hero talent tree, but your allies should honestly like spec out of stuns and get other things that could benefit the team when playing with a subtlety rogue, but most people won't do that, even though it is actually more optimal to do that when you're playing with a rogue. They're just not going to. So you just have to adapt to it, try to make the best of it, and this is the best way that I've found to do that, although it didn't work in this lobby. It obviously has in others, or I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am, which I think is in the top 50 rogues now. I went from a one-button presser to top 50 rogues, and I'm still not pressing secret technique, so I'm trying to work on that. That's one thing. When you're doing the burst rotation, your first eviscerate should just be a secret technique instead, and then I'm going to be golden, right? That's like the one thing I would improve for myself. We get a sap this game and a cheap shot. Hallelujah, dude. Ruptures up on both targets. This is a great time to just send a dance cheap shot onto the hunter, blind the priest, keep him locked down. This is like one of the peak openers I can get, basically. Force trinket paint suppression. We can just swap back in the warrior. Now we're going back into that kind of cooldown reduction phase where we're just spamming backstab and eviscerate and keeping rupture up. And this is just to reset our cooldowns, wait for stun DRs, kidney shot on the priest. He's off DR. I'm going to stun him. I don't care if they're not off DR. I'm just going to get pressure here, try and bait some cooldowns. I think like a void shift. So then we try and dance again. We get disarmed on it. We're sad. If you're disarmed like this, it's a good idea to use feint. It's a good idea to use evasion so you can spend your energy while you can't attack. And now we're kind of in cooldown regeneration phase now, where we're trying to just spam eviscerates, keep rupture up to get our shadow dance and our symbols back, which we will. And we have blades. So we got priest trinket, warrior trinket. And we have our big one shots. So guess what? We're just sending it. The hunter's off DR. I'm just going. I don't care. Blades, one shot, cheap shots. All right, priest off stun DR. I'm cheap shotting him. Send more eviscerates, even more damage into the hunter. Just absolutely mow him over as quickly as possible. And then if we want to, we can kidney shot the warrior, or we can vanish cheap shot the warrior. There are options here as well to maximize the stuns. I probably should have, but I just really was tunnel visioning damage on the hunter, because you can see just sending it is just like really keeping him pressured. He almost dies. Turtle. Now we get a kidney shot onto the warrior. And I should press that way sooner. I could have maximized these stuns way better, reduced a lot of damage there. In the meantime, now we're in cooldown reduction phase while we're waiting for cheap shots. We've got our symbols, our dance available. T's coming up in a second, so we've got the combo. We feint while we get knocked back to maximize our energy usage. Step back in, dance, cheap shot, symbols. I tried to bomb him, but he trinketed instantly, and then he juked me off the side, and I look like an absolute noob right here. And then I get disarmed, and then I'm doing nothing, okay? So sometimes it's going to happen. You're going to get absolutely owned. A lot of people play with weak auras. They know exactly what you're doing, and they just have a weak aura pop up when you use dance. That's why I just like sending as opposed to waiting, because if you wait for the moment and then you get stopped on, it's over. And wait, we just send it, we finish the hunter, and we get a lot of pressure, and I'm out damaging the BM hunter, out damaging the Fury Warrior, and almost keeping up with the Ret Paladin. And I found this way to just be a lot more effective than being kind of patient and waiting for the perfect moment. Now, if I could mix this playstyle with the ability to pick the perfect moment, that would be the ideal case. I think that's when you're the best subtlety rogue in the game, is when you can maximize your DRs and also see that line to victory where someone doesn't have a trinket, you can smoke bomb them or blind them and find that line. Once you've hit that moment, you're going to be like the best subtlety rogue in the game, absolutely dominating. Honestly, I'm thinking about dedicating more time into subtlety rogue because I'm really enjoying it. Maybe try and get to unlocking that point. Got to still work on using secret technique first, but I definitely think that it can be very enjoyable once you get to that stage. You're like ultra instinct subtlety rogue. So got the warrior again. Can we manage to pull it off? It's an omega counter. It's double paladin. This is like worst case scenario as a rogue. And ret paladin hunter counters melee cleaves. Oh, we walked into a flare. It's an even worse case scenario. You want to be more patient than me because I think getting a sap can be ideal. But we got the ret paladin's trinket, so we kidney shot him. We just dance on him symbols and send. I do not care. Like I said, if he's off DR, I just send it. I do max damage. That's all I'm worried about is just max damage. And I didn't even get rupture up, which is honestly a mistake. I should have got rupture up. I didn't expect him to trinket the kidney though, so I was trying to just really go. We got stun DRs off on the Holy Paladin here, so I tried to dance on him, and I'm going to cloak off the glare so I can get my cheap shots. And that got a Sanctuary, so we're just trying to get cooldowns rotated out of them rather than just sitting around doing nothing. I'm just trying to get one thing after another. Maybe I get a trinket with this stun, maybe I get a Sank with this stun, maybe I get a bop or a bubble, but I'm not going to sit there and wait for the perfect moment. Rupture's up, cooldown reduction phase. Like I said, there's two phases. You got the cooldown reduction phase, which is just spending combo points, then you got this phase when they're off DR, which is dance symbols T, and he's got no trinket, so I bomb him. And I didn't blades him because I thought he would bubble, but I honestly probably should have blades because maybe he would have just randomly taken so much damage it got dropped. So I tried to find that line, right, between doing overall damage and seeing an opportunity. Hunter's off DR. Guess what? Getting shot. I don't care. I do not know why I popped blades and symbols and T here, though, without dance. This is a mistake. I tried to vanish to compensate, I guess, with it and use vanish instead to try and get the follow down, lockdown. I thought maybe I could do a lot of damage there, but definitely a bad idea to not have that synced up with your dance. Fortunately, I do have dance and symbols again, though. So we're just going to keep getting some cooldown reduction, wait for the sack to come off, and likely try and go for a blind. And then we've got the ret paladin off DR. So blinding the healer and then going on the ret. But oh, the warrior stunned him and I'm getting multiple searing glares. So we blind him before the end of it, and we're just going to dance. We don't care if he's DR'd, we just send it. Look at paladin has immediately bubble, right? And you got the ret paladin bubble. If I had sat there going like, oh man, I got to wait for the Stormbolt DR before I can send my dance, I'd probably already be dead by that point. That's why it's just, you got to go. You just got to send it. It's on DR. It got messed up. It's messy, whatever. You just have to keep sending it over and over. We gouge the ret to just stop some damage. Disarm the ret. I could step kick that repentance. Definitely something that I want to look to improve as well, because right there that lands on the priest and maybe we lose the game now because of it. So shadow step kick is a really good disruption. I step over the Holy Paladin now to try and line of sight desperately, but he's trapped and I get hodged and I'm stuck now behind the pillar with no cooldowns left, and that could have saved the day there. So this is another important concept for subtlety rogue is shadow step kicking. And you want to be really, it's offensive and defensive, right? So if you're about to win the game, the only thing that saves somebody is a casted heal. Step kick, they don't get the heal, you win the game. Now, defensively, was a repentance being casted there. If I'd step kicked, my priest is not repentanced, I get healed. We get to keep playing the game a little longer, but we're probably not winning as rogue warrior against double paladin hunter where I get flared out in the opener. It's just not, even if I don't get flared out in the opener, it's going to be a rough ride, but I'm just trying to make it the best that I can. Maybe they choke, you know, and you can grab a win that way. Subtlety rogue is the best class to probably exploit that type of situation. I'll have the talent build listed in the description down below as well if you guys want the talent loadout for this build that I'm playing. I know I often forget to put the links in the description down below. I don't know what it is wrong with my brain. I'm getting old and I just forget or something, but I'll do my best to remember that. And if you guys let me know in the comments because I forgot, I'll just upload it a little bit later. Move in, try and get a sap. Are we actually going to get it this time? Oh my god, a sap out of all the rounds. And we're just going to cheap shot everybody, go onto the ret paladin, ruptures up, blind the priest. Decent opener, but not really getting the cooldowns that I would have liked to have grabbed there. I was really hoping to get the priest trinket. We're just going to kidney shot. I don't care if he... I actually bombed him to stop Sanctuary. That was super YOLO. It was probably not worth it. That type of play could be cool, but I think it's like later on in the game when they don't have defensives or something like that maybe, and a Sank's the only thing that saves the game. I was kind of being cheeky there and trying to get some style points, but it is whatever. We're going to dance here. I forgot the symbols. See, this is where the difficulty of Subtlety Rogue is. You want to dance symbols and Thistletea at the same time. I didn't symbols. And now my symbols are desynced. I have 2 charges of them. And then it's like things start snowballing out of control when you start making a mistake like that. That's why I just send them all at the same time. Don't make the mistake. I got combo points. Cheap shot. We can move forward. Rets off DR. Step in. Cheap shot. Big symbols here. Tea time. Eviscerates. And if I had secret techniqued, I probably would get massive damage here. On the in-between go, we get Void Shift, and we get Shield of Vengeance. So now we're in the cooldown reduction phase. Build combo points, keep Rupture up with them, or spam Eviscerate. That's going to get our symbols, going to get our Shadow Dance back faster. And that's basically just 2 phases of Subtlety Rogue. I stun anything when I have a stun, and they have no DR. and I reduce my cooldowns when I don't have dance, and when I have dance, that's when I'm doing the big burst one shot, which is just basically the same rotation except you're pressing Shadow Strike instead of backstab. Here I could have step kicked that ultimate penitence. Again, this is something that it's nice that I'm doing some VOD review and looking back at this and see what I'm missing in my own play. I highly recommend that you do it yourself. But Shadow Step Kick right there on the Ultimate Penitence could have been massive. We're just going to send Dance again here. We use symbols. We hammer some damage down. He gets a trap. I'm trying not to AoE and break it. I'm just sending DRs. The binding shot kind of messed me up there a little bit, but we have a disarm for the warrior here, which honestly I should press. Taking a little bit too long to press it, honestly. Gouge the warrior. Here we've got freezing traps, so gouging the healer is going to be a bad idea. We have that diminishing return. Although sometimes if your hunter doesn't know how to land a trap or something like that, it's probably acceptable to gouge the healer. We'll disarm the warrior. I don't know about this rep on the rep paladin here. But I have a vanish, so I can do like a vanish stun, even though I don't have my dance. We'll go for kidney shot. You see my symbols are still desynced because I didn't use that first one. I wish symbols were just in Shadow Dance baseline because I feel like you should just never press it outside of it anyways. But we get a full trap. We dance, cheap shot the warrior. We have stun DRs there. Hammer down, burst damage out of the rep paladin. Still no secret technique usage, and it gets bubble anyways. It doesn't even matter. So like I'm literally not even using a button on my bar, which is an important button, and I'm still getting major cooldowns from the enemies. Our hunter gets feared here, and we don't have disarm. We don't really have any stuns. We're just trying to get cooldown reduction. We're also energy starved. This is usually the most difficult part of the game. So when you're at 0 energy, no dance, and trying to like spend combo points and get the cooldown reduction engine going again. It's usually because your ruptures didn't maintain a lot of uptime. There I could have step kicked, but I blind instead. Step back, tried to kidney, got blinded on it. Super sad. Again, still don't have a dance because we're in a really weird starvation mode. But hey, ran behind a pillar. Here's a chance to drop a smoke bomb. I get disarmed on it. We're just going to trinket it. We're going all in on him. Dance on him. I don't know why I didn't symbols here. I symbols a little late. Eviscerate 3 times. Spam him down as hard as possible. Bops 1%. Not enough. Grabs us a win. Gets us 24 rating. Pumps us over 2400. We're competing with these guys. Obviously not a great round for the warrior here. To say the least, but this is like one of those lobbies that's really hard as a rogue because you go warrior DR and all your stuff. Double paladin's really rough. And how I'm thinking about it in the game is the 2 phases: cooldown recovery phase, backstab, eviscerate, rupture, maintain rupture is not there. Spam eviscerate and just bounce between those 3 buttons. Like it's 3-button rotation. And then when you do the dance, symbols, and T-go, you just replace backstab with shadow strike, and you should use secret technique once before eviscerate. It really simplifies rogue. To just think of it that way. It's just like someone's off TR, send it, go. Okay, send damage. Don't worry about the cross CC will cover itself later on. Just make sure that you're maximizing the lockdown and your damage output, and you're going to get a lot further than just kind of like thinking about this like perfect line to victory all the time. Although it is something that I do want to improve for myself, especially having watched this back, right? Like a lot of wasted bombs, a lot of impatience to getting pulled out of stealth. And no secret technique. So I'm going to have to use that. I'm going to have to incorporate that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tips and tricks here for Subtlety Rogue that I utilized to go from a 1-button masher up to a 2400 Elite Rogue and maybe beyond. Maybe we stick to it because I know a lot of the rogues, they've abandoned you guys in World of Warcraft, right? There's not a lot of rogue streamers left. They all left. I'm not gonna leave you guys. I'm not abandoning you. So maybe I'll give Rogue a go. Try and fill some of those big shoes. But for now, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.